YouTube, all right. Porting Toolkit. This is for Mac OS, for Apple Silicon Macs, and Intel Macs. And this is to allow us to take Windows games and convert them to run on the Mac without having to have crossover or parallels, which can get quite costly, okay? All right, so I'm going to walk you through a tour here of this program, explain a little bit about it. We're even going to, fire up the one game that we're going to convert. I will give you a warning ahead of time. You will probably see, because this is a screenshot recording, the game may appear very small in a window. I assure you, it is full screen on my 27-inch display. It just seems to be the way that the screenshot program works on the Mac, and yeah, we don't get to see the full screen in this case because of how we're doing things. So anyways, that being said, download either the DMG or the zip file. Okay, now I have already downloaded that, but it's just a simple click and go. All right, once you're done, then quit out of your browser, whatever it happens to be, porting toolkit, and you're going to double click that DMG if that's what you took, and you're going to take that, drag it, and drop it to applications. I've already installed the program, no biggie. Okay, once you've done that, if you want to go into your applications folder and drag it down to your toolbar to create a shortcut, you can do that at that time. Completely your choice how you want to run your computer. All right, once all that's done, you can then get rid of that, and you can then ditch that. I would say don't keep copies of the DMG because they do update the program from time to time, and you just re-download the program is the easiest way to reinstall. Their updater doesn't seem to work very well the last time I tried it, which was probably about a year ago, I guess, was the last time I actually updated this, and I've redone my computer since, so I've recently just reinstalled this stuff myself. So I don't know if the updater actually functions properly yet. They've had a few issues, and I don't know if it's because it's Apple Silicon or what, but I don't have an Intel Mac anymore, so I can't tell you on that one. Anyways, fire up the program. Now, of course, you're going to be able to pull games from multiple sources, which will be in the list once this fires up, and we can tell you how this gets done. And supposedly, it has to be digital media, which so far I have to agree because, well, trying to pull it off of a CD install, haven't been successful with that as of yet, okay? But, and I do have games on CDs I'd love to be able to convert, but so far no luck. So we do have to pull from GOG, Origin, Steam, or even Ubisoft Connect, okay? Click on All Games, okay? Now, these games will load in. You can also make custom ports. So if you don't even see your game in this massive, massive, massive library of games, well, you can create your own custom port. Well, that's a whole other thing to do for a video, so maybe down the road we'll get into that. Now, the game we're going to convert today is called Unreal Tournament. But before we get into that, initially firing up this program, it's going to walk you through some setups, okay? Because it wants you to choose an install location for the games, okay, which can be anywhere you want on your computer, including external devices, which is where all my games sit, and also where it's going to pull the download from. Okay, so generally the downloads folder is recommended. Just pop your program in its folder, into the downloads folder, and grab it from there. But you can also select your desktop or what have you, okay? Anyways, so with that, we're going to go to Unreal. Now, the version of the game we're going to convert is Unreal Tournament 2004, okay? There are other versions, and I have a few of them, actually. I'm only missing one, which would be the Awaken. What is this called? The Awakening. I don't have that one yet, but I got the other one. So let's do Unreal 4. So how do we do this? Well, we just click on it, okay? And then we start the install process. Now, you can read all this information, which would definitely help you, okay? Or just opt out for, in this case, we're going to click Install. Now, where you got your game from and downloaded it, you need to choose that particular 1. Now this window comes up. You got to wait for the counter to stop. Because I've already downloaded the correct installer, I have to wait for that timer. Otherwise, you can download installer now if you haven't done that. Or I'll download it and then come back later, okay? So we're going to hit sure I've done it, okay? Now, I wouldn't say it's the fastest kid on the block. This program's gotten much, much bigger, which has slowed down some of these processes a little bit. Also, I am running this on a 2020 Mac Mini M1 with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 SSD, but that has nothing to do with why the program has been a little bit less responsive. The program is getting bigger and bigger all the time, okay, which can slug things down and so on, right? Okay, now we're up to this spot. Now we want to click next, follow the prompts, okay? Now here we can change the install location. So if we're not happy where we set the program up, we can always change that install location right now. No big deal, okay? But I'm going to leave it to go into my games folder. So we're going to click install. Now we want to select the installer. So this is going to go into my downloads folder, and of course we can see that the folder is here. All the files we need are here. What we need is the setup exe file, okay? And so we're going to select that and click open. Once we do that, we just sit here and play the game of hurry up and wait, and eventually it will come up with a dialog box that will be the exact same thing as you would normally find installing this natively into a PC, and we just follow the prompts and let it do its thing, okay? Now, as an FYI, not all games will perform 100%. A lot of them will, but some of them may not, okay? There's that risk. I do find that doing this on an Intel Mac, the stability and performance of the games is far superior than Apple Silicon, okay? When I first started using this program was, a long time ago. And of course I had Intel Macs and never ran into any real problems, okay? Apple Silicon, of course, this wasn't set up originally for Apple Silicon, but they've been working on the program, making things more compliant for Apple Silicon, etc., okay? However, I still believe to this day that this is a better suited program for the Intel Macs, but it does work and can work exceedingly well on Apple Silicon. One of the games that I really like to play is Skyrim, and it's the Elder Scrolls V SE edition, or Special Edition, I guess you call it. Anyways, I normally play that on my PC, all right? Now, I also have the anniversary update, so I can always update it to the anniversary, something you can't do with this for some reason. It won't accept the updater. But anyway, so SE it is, it's fine, right? Gets me playing the game, and it's not a networkable game anyways, though it can be hacked to do so. My buddy and I have actually done that because we like to play network games and do cooperative play, etc. Anyways, so, but everything gets self-contained into one app, kind of like any other Mac program. You just see an icon, okay? So let me just open this up. So there's my Skyrim game. There's a couple of our other Unreal tournaments. There's this one here that we're starting to do now. So it looks like this right now until it's finished. I've got a couple others like San Andreas, Vice City. These work fantastic on Apple Silicon, okay, these particular games. Soldier of Fortunes, they actually work pretty good, okay? I haven't had any real big issues with them at all. If anything, very minor, okay? You will also find with older PC games that you can get, some of them, well, a lot of them actually never had access to the higher resolutions that we have these days. So you do get kind of limited in that area with programs where you don't have like 2 and 4K graphics that are going to happen for you. Okay, here's this spot here. This is next. This is our installer. So yes, I've read and accepted. Options, just make sure everything's fine that you need there. And we do not need to check the file's integrity. So we're just going to go ahead and hit install. Same way you do on a PC. All right, now, where was I? Yeah, the resolution thing, okay? This is one of those games where it doesn't accept higher resolution, but you can still get a full screen of play, which is fantastic on larger displays. You're still going to get your full screen. There are some games I've come across where you probably should just leave the defaults alone, because otherwise it can really harm performance of the game. Where other games, yep, you can crank up the juice and, you know, really get it going. I've run Skyrim at ultimate graphics at 4K on this, and it's a little bit sluggy because, you know, you are going through the Rosetta translation, the Windows translation into the game and everything else, and it can get a little bit sluggy, but otherwise it's still very playable. I prefer actually 1080p at medium graphics setting, and the game runs absolutely flawless and no hassles, okay? And you know, you're going to find a lot of this same sort of thing happening with Parallels and Crossover, where you're not going to be able to, you know, crank those settings right up to where you'd like them. Even on a very powerful Apple Silicon Mac, some of these games you just can't do that. They just don't want to cooperate because of the emulation software of Crossover and Parallels. So that's something where, you know, we got to deal with it regardless. We don't get Boot Camp with Windows anymore on the Mac because of Apple Silicon, but Intel Macs can still run Boot Camp, which gives them the benefit. You can have a real full-blown Mac and a real full-blown PC in one computer. Boot Camp was never an emulator. Some people actually, to this day, they still think it's an emulation software, and it actually is not. It's just a loader that allows us to natively install Windows on a Mac, and you don't even have to pay for the Windows OS, because you don't even have to, you know, license it. If you want to license it, sure, but, you know, and for that, you get to do what? You can change screensavers, you can change your desktop backgrounds. Other than that, that's pretty much about it. I mean, you still get all your updates, all your feature updates for Windows. There's been a couple of people I've seen on YouTube that have actually managed to get Windows 11 to be compliant with Boot Camp, which it technically is not. Okay, so how they've hacked it, I don't know. But then again, you know, I mean, we use Open Core Legacy Patcher to put unsupported operating systems on older Macs to keep our older Macs running. So there you go. Something is going on there with Boot Camp. But so far, I've never seen anybody even try to get Boot Camp to run on Apple Silicon because, well, the program won't even fire up. So anyway, we don't really care anymore, I think, at this point. I mean, we are getting more and more AAA games on the Mac, but there are still, they are older games mostly. And I do like older games. Many of you like older games, right? And this is a great way to also get older games to run on Apple Silicon. And sometimes, like I said, they perform exceedingly well. Other times, they're pretty adequate. And some games, well, forget it. It's just not happening. Like the Far Cry series, for example. Far Cry 1, yeah, it's a great game. I still love it to this day on my Windows machine, but every time I've attempted to convert it on this with the proper port, it will not work worth a snot on Apple Silicon. But if I take that same wrapped file, throw it onto an Intel Mac that has a little bit of nuts under the hood, then the game runs absolutely beautiful. But then again, on an Intel Mac, I'm not going to use this program. I'm going to actually install Windows for real on an Intel Mac, because then I get full-fledged performance, no restrictions whatsoever of happening, etc., etc. So, you know, that's where I kind of look at this is a great solution, and this program is free too. All right, this is a critical mass area right here. Do not hit launch game, okay? Anytime you convert, do not hit launch game when it's doing this. You need to allow it to finish its setups. Click exit and wait for this window to tell you that you're fine to go. Okay, and now we're done. Click close. Quit the porting toolkit. Go into your game folder. Find your game. 2004 right here. Let's fire that puppy up. Okay, now it wants access. You got to give it access, all right, for this stuff to run. What you don't have to do is allow it microphone access. Any program that asks for microphone access, don't worry about it. You don't have to let them. I guess maybe for multiplayer use, you might want to allow microphone access, but I don't even know if we can multiplayer this game. As a wrapper, we might, but I don't know. So I actually see a full screen right now. You are likely not. And that's not a big deal. So in going with just the default settings here, what we're going to find is Direct3D is the rendering device. Now we can choose software, but let's leave it at defaults, okay? 800 by 600. We can go right up to 1600 by 1200 resolution. This is just kind of optimized by defaults, okay? And we can change things about the audio, player, game, input, weapons area. We can check all this stuff out. Heads up display, what you want to see shown there, that sort of thing, okay? Now, so we're going to go back. And we're just going to start the game. And we're going to see how it runs with just the defaults before we even think about messing with stuff. Create a new player. Pick one. I like him. And I like the fist. Now here you can change your name, your team, your experience difficulty. I'm going to go with novice because I like novice. There's a lot of different hardness levels for the game, so you go novice to godlike, okay? Team name, give it a team name, whatever. I'm just leaving it defaults, okay? But you can change it. I've done it many times before. So now the game's going to start loading. This is really a fun game. My father actually kind of got me into this. And it's kind of like, well, it's kind of a neat game. And, you know, he did it for years doing multiplayer online with his friends from, you know, Florida and other places that he's got friends that they play multiplayer games online and whatnot. And so it is a really cool game. It is a lot of fun, even though it's pretty dated these days. But either way, it's a bit of a loading process too here, as you can tell. Now you can bypass this screen by just clicking your mouse. And now you got to listen to this. And you can't get out of it. You got to wait. So if you want to learn while she's yakking, just read, because the music is overpowering for that. We're going to play one-on-one. You can go through the tutorial if you want, but I've played this game enough. I'll just hit the one-on-one. And you got to earn your way through the game, which is nice. And at least you don't have to pay for any of this. It's like awesome, you know. But you can download the games from different sources, like I said, GOG, Steam, etc. You know, but I've got some games on Steam actually that I might actually see if I can figure out how to pull it off, because I have a Dungeon Lords game that I like, and I've got that on my Steam account, but I haven't tried to use it in this manner yet, but I apparently should be able to pull it off. Now you're going to see a little bit of bouncy bounce, basically a little bit of frame farting. This is where you can, you know, go into your system settings and try and smooth it out a bit more. That may be, you may have to change your resolution to a little bit lower. It depends on the settings that are up there. I would try anything before messing with resolution though. Default resolution is actually pretty good. But you can tweak the game there, all right? But, oh, I mean, overall, even just the way it's running right now, it's actually running quite well. It does run much smoother and better on a Windows computer, but hey, for doing this on a Mac like this, yeah, that Actually kind of works really well. Anyways, so there you go. There you have it. Now, yeah, I want to quit. All right, now we're back to our desktop. So, just quickly to show you what happens here is if you click on any app, Mac apps too, right? Show package contents. Go into contents, you're going to find the wineskin app. I will do a separate video on this because that can also help make the game better performing before you even mess with the actual settings in the game. You can use the wineskin app to alter some settings to tweak the game that may help it to run better. Okay, now if you do a worse job at it, well, you know, just try to remember what you did to undo it. Otherwise, just, you know, delete the game and remake a new wrapper and start over. You know what I mean? But you have a Mac OS area, but you also have Drive C, program files, common stuff. This is like a miniature version of Windows. Okay, and in here, GOG games. This is our main game. You can also use the uninstall exe, etc. Okay, but yeah, deleting the games off your computer, it's exactly the same as it would be with any other Mac program. Just, you know, take it, right click, move to trash, or just drag it physically to your trash. It's up to you how you delete your stuff, how many steps you want to take. But it does work pretty good. I have the other Unreal tournaments here as well. A few other programs, like I said, San Andreas. I actually run that at 4K maxed out graphics. It is absolutely flawless on Apple Silicon. And again, I have an M1 Mac Mini 16 by 512. Game runs absolutely superb. Vice City, same thing, works fantastic. Now, sometimes you will get games that won't run worth a beans, like Far Cry. Now, I used to have Far Cry 2 running on my Mini with this wrap, but with the OS updates and everything that's been going on, for some reason, well, it doesn't want to do that anymore. Okay, so Apple Silicon is probably not your best option for games that get demanding, okay? Like really demanding, depending on the Mac you have. That's the big thing. It depends on the Mac you have, how well this is going to go for you, okay? So something to just keep in mind, all right? Now, I will give you guys some videos on that wineskin thing and probably get in with another video as well in regards to the porting toolkit. But I do recommend it if you want a solution that is A, completely free, B, has a massive library of games to go through. And like I said, a lot of them will run absolutely phenomenal. But there are games, and you don't know until you wrap them what they're going to perform like. And like I said, you can tweak settings in the wineskin wrapper itself. You can tweak game settings to a certain point, obviously, depending on the game. But, you know, just mess with it, see how you like it. It doesn't cost you anything. The games will when you got to pay for them because, you know, GOG is not going to let you download certain games for free, if you know what I mean. Some things they're definitely going to be charging for, but they do have some free games too that you can download and possibly even convert. That library is getting bigger and bigger all the time, which is another thing that slows down the program to load all the junk up. It's because that library is getting really super massive, which is good because we need as much selection for gaming as possible in this world. Yeah, anyways, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and checking out the video. And we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.